You're watching It's Life Live with your hosts, Juan Lee and Oliver Marcel. Come join us for enriching, enlightening, encouraging, and thought-provoking conversation. Let's go. What's up, everybody?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to It's Life Live. And we are back, Clear Journeys, back to provide you education and resources so that we can navigate life. Thought I had put my phone on mute, but I guess I didn't. Now it has. So welcome, everybody. How you doing, Oliver?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Ready for another great conversation. Those of you who are familiar with this space, have been introduced to this space in one form or another, know that these conversations are very enriching. They're very timely, and I'm pretty sure that this will be another one to put in that. So make sure that you're sharing this with your network. Just simply hit the share button wherever you're watching this right now, so that we can expose these conversations to more people.
All right. Hey, if this is your first time here, welcome. We really appreciate you spending some time with us. I know my LinkedIn audience, we've invited quite a few people there from LinkedIn. Also, the audience over on my meetup group, if you're here, let us know that you're here by putting something in the comments. We want to be here for you. So just let us know that you're here. Again, Clear Journey is a nonprofit that's here to service our community. We are here to educate and to provide resources to all that are looking for answers to all of life's challenges. We typically are dealing with areas in finances, in areas of relationships, and all around well-being, health. I am the founder, and I'm also an author of a book called Love Made Simple, which is the foundation for our nonprofit or Clear Journey, where it's talking about a mindset, the mindset that you can have to be successful in all areas of your life, no matter what stage of life you're in, whether you're a teenager, a young adult, an adult, or a senior. We can navigate life successfully with the right mindset. And so that's what that is. If you want to learn more about it, like I said, you can go over to clearjourney.org and learn more about what we do. Tonight is no different. We're going to have a guest with us. If you have not already aware of who the guest is, but our guest is going to be on here shortly, and we're going to talk finances tonight. We're going to talk about finances and what's the right mindset, first of all, for your finances, to be able to navigate finances correctly. And that has to do with discipline, has to do with sacrifice. Those are some of the key elements, the right mindset that you need to have to be able to navigate this thing that we're going to be talking about tonight, and that's your finances. And so we want you to buckle up. And so, because first time you think about sacrifice and discipline, people start falling off the chairs. Okay, but you gain a whole lot from having those two mindsets in place when it comes to your finances. And so, that being said, you got anything else you want to talk about, Oliver? Did we say anything? You know what? We didn't say this, but if you want us to continue, if we can add any value to you, we would really appreciate you subscribing to our YouTube channel. We're live streaming right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. If you like what you're hearing, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We really would appreciate that.
Yeah.
We really would appreciate that.
Yeah, and go back and watch the other episodes as well. There are some really, I know everybody who has some kind of podcast or some type of live stream show, says that they're their information is the best information out there, and that's fine. I'm not disputing that by any means. But just understand that the conversations that have taken place over the last year, you could just literally close your eyes and just put your finger on one of the live streams, and I promise you that you will leave with some value that would be and something that would be put into how you navigate life. So feel
You
free
got
to
you, you,
get that.
your mic just started really. I don't know if it's something that you might hit.
It's going in and out.
Yeah, now it's good.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure what happened.
It just was really, but now you're good. It's back.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know what happened, but
Look. We talked about our last guest, and Devil didn't want you to say that.
yeah, right, exactly. Didn't
So
want to say go watch the other episodes so that you can get some stuff that will be pertinent to how you navigate life.
yeah, it was real good. Hey, also, so let's get our guest in here. Our guest has been helping families in all areas of professional and personal finances for over 20 years. He obtained his BS in mechanical engineering and his MBA from the University of Delaware. His mission is to help people and motivate people to achieve their personal financial goals through planning, education, investing, selections, and an ongoing client relationship. He has his Series 6, 65, and 63 securities license in the DMV and many other states nationwide. Join us in welcoming Bokah Worjoloh. Worjoloh. Help me now.
Yeah, we're gonna bring him.
Bokah, come
so he can
on.
say it.
And I'm gonna say Worjoloh.
Perfect.
Worjoloh. Bokah
Yes, sir.
Worjoloh.
Look at you. You made it happen.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate you being with us. Is there anything else that you would like to introduce yourself with telling us about yourself before we get started?
No, that's perfect, man. That's perfect. I'm not the type that like to talk about myself too much, but I think you said the mission, a little bit of background, and we're off to the races.
Okay. Well, I tell you, Oliver, we didn't get a chance. Oliver, did you get a chance to meet
No,
Bokah?
we were doing some. We jumped right into doing some troubleshooting, so we didn't.
Yeah, that's right.
Get to meet, but it's a pleasure to meet you and have you on the show. This is such an important topic. It's a topic that many of us we weren't privy to the kinds of information that we probably should have been privy to earlier on.
Right.
And having somebody like you who was passionate about seeing people thrive in that area, I think is awesome. I want to know though, and I know Juan has probably a series of questions you want to go through, but when did you discover that this was your passion and that you wanted to be instrumental in guiding others in that way? What made money the thing for you?
So that's a very interesting question. Let's go all the way back to like when you're trying to choose what you want to do in college, right? And you tell your advisor or whatever, I like X or I like Y. So my thing was math. I like math, right? And they said, okay, well, you should go into accounting. So thank God I took an accounting class in high school and I hated it. I'm like, this is awful. This is horrible. What else you got? They said, you might want to try engineering, right? So Juan went over the fact that I got an engineering degree. I was an engineering major, and to go into engineering, right? If they had told me about finances, investment banking, stock selection, all that stuff in high school, I'd have been doing this from college, from the very, very beginning. You know what I mean? There's the math associated with this is just right down my alley and things of that nature. So I'd have been doing it a long time ago. However, I got into construction management. So after my MBA concentration was in basically project management. And I just went on the internet and This was when Monster.com first started out, you know, 2000, in the year 2000. I'm looking for jobs and whatever says project management. And that's how I got into construction, because the job was construction project manager. I didn't care. Any kind of project manager, give me a job. I'm about to be out of school. I got nothing to do. I need to make some money. So I got into that and I loved it. However, the guy that was working right behind me hated it. This is a guy in his 50s, and he would complain about his job every day. Now, I don't know about you guys. I don't like complaining. So I'm like, if you got to complain like that, why don't you just quit the job? Ain't nobody forcing you to be here. This is what I'm thinking. 23 years old, this is what I'm thinking. However, a 20-year-old guy don't understand 50-year-old man problems. This guy got kids in college. This guy got a mortgage to pay, a wife to support. He got bills. He couldn't leave if he wanted to. You know what I mean? So he stuck at a job he hated. And so at that point in my life, I didn't know necessarily what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, but I knew what I didn't want in my life. And that's to have to work a job that I hate. Can you feel me on that?
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let me get something part-time, because I was making decent money. I didn't spend a lot of money. I didn't have a car payment. I didn't have any student loans, nothing, right? And so I'm like, let me get something part-time. I can make some money. I can save it, and I can retire early. And that way, if I like the job, I'll stay. And if I have to complain, I won't. Get up out of there, you know? And so I looked at real estate. I looked at becoming a bartender. I looked at all these things. And my cousin got me into the finances. He said, you can do it part-time, set your own schedule, you know, make as much as you want, make as little as you want, but nobody's going to require anything of you. And in your 20s, it's like you know, you want to do a little something for yourself, you know, party a little bit. And so you don't want to be tied down to a job. That was very attractive to me. So I got started for that reason. However, to answer your question, when I started going out and seeing families and things like that, I had never realized how little the average person knew about money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing was, I thought I knew a lot about money. I didn't know jack squat about money, to be honest. And I thought I knew a lot, you know, and people knew less than me. And what amazed me was just the little bit that you need to know to be successful. It's not that much you need to know to be successful, as long as, especially if you have an advisor, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only a little bit, and people were failing financially. People are not being able to retire. People going bankrupt, things of that nature. But it's like there's not so much that you need to know to make it financially. It's a few little things. You got to know them, but it's a few little things. It's not like you have to be able to like my worst class was differential equations. It's not like you have to do differential equations, you know what I mean, to save some money and grow your money, you know, and have a good financial life. It's just a couple little easy fundamental things. And once you know better, you can do better.
Yeah.
So that's what man, that was around 2003, 4, 5, right in that range.
Man, good stuff. Excellent.
So let me ask you, and you know you're not going to leave without those three little things, right?
Right.
Without telling those three little things. But we're gonna save those for later. So let me ask you a question. In spite of the journey that you were on, from mechanical engineering to finances, how did that degree and that MBA help you to be able to settle in the finances to the point where, what did you gain? What did you learn from even that journey? That, I mean, because I know you didn't throw that information out. You just didn't throw that information out. You know, that MBA experience, you know, yeah. you got to work. So how are you using it to help your clients, that information, that education?
The first thing that comes to mind is the work ethic that it took to get the degrees, more than anything. And I think that is the power of earning your degrees, because a lot of times people will not have a long-term career in their major, which is crazy to me, but it's true, you know. Mm-hmm. And so it's the work ethic it took to learn to earn the degree, and then how to study, how to take in information, because like I say, there's only a few things that the person needs to know, but as an advisor, you need to know pretty much everything. You know, you need to know everything. And so learning how to take in material and information and things like that and process it to where that you can make sense of it to the point that you can explain it to somebody else. I think it would be the main thing about those degrees because, like I say, I don't use any differential equations, no Calc 3, no, you know what I mean, fluid dynamics and all that stuff. I don't use any of that stuff. But having to grasp those concepts and learn those things and figure out the most important things from them, I think is probably the best that I got out of it.
How about this? What was it that caused you? Because I remember I saw your bio and you said that, you know, we talked about the fact that you wanted to make an impact on other people's lives, want to help other people. Was there a situation or circumstances, something that happened that caused you, other than the you know, seeing people that they didn't know something, but there a situation specifically that you can mention that you saw someone that was really struggling over?
So to be honest, no, I think I understand what you're saying, but to be honest, my mission in life is to make people feel better about themselves and their situation. And it goes back to when I was a little kid. I figured this out not too long ago, but you know, I always got good grades and stuff in school, and you'd be like, you know, how do you do that? And I didn't, you know, I didn't get as good of grades or whatever. You can do this too, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to feel bad. And from there, it was like you just want to, you know, you want it to be warranted though. It's like you don't want to give any false praise or false, you know, what do you call that thing? False flattery or anything like that. But you want to be able to say, look, you got some good stuff inside of you. You know what I mean? The one of the things that my mentor in the business that I'm in right now, one of the things that he said, he would always end our trainings and stuff like that with this verse of scripture. I think it's Proverbs 8, somewhere in there, where it says, no, it's in the Psalms. You were created, like they said, who is man that God should be mindful of him, right? And it says, you were created just below the angels with glory and honor, right? And it's like people need to know that, because a lot of people, they don't think so much of themselves. You know what I mean? And that's the main killer for achievement. You got to think well of yourself, but you have to prove to yourself that you deserve to be thought well of, you know? And some praise and some acknowledgement of internally that you have some greatness inside of you is it goes a long way. You know what I mean? So that it stems from that. And then it extended into the financial piece as well. But the main thing is that.
Yeah. Well, let's get into a little bit of the financial stuff. You said you have your series 6 to 65 and 63. What are those series, just in case someone's interested in wanting to know?
Yeah, so the Series 6 is what they call the ICVC license. It's investment contracts and variable contracts. So basically for mutual funds and annuities, you're able to do. I'm not licensed to do individual stocks. You know, I can tell you what I do, but it wouldn't count as advice. You know what I mean? But mutual funds and annuities mostly as the vehicles. Financial planning and things of that nature is a little more universal. You don't need a license specifically for the basics of financial planning. So Series 6 is the ICVC license, and that's per state. The Series 63 license allows you to get your certification in all 50 states, plus DC. You know what I mean? So it allows you to go past your state boundaries. And then Series 65 is what they call the Investment Advisor Representative designation. And that's a fiduciary designation. So that allows you to be an investment advisor. So those are those 3 licenses.
Okay. Anything coming up, Oliver?
No, I just with you talking about annuities, I just had a conversation with somebody. All these days are all together. I want to say it was yesterday. And this person was actually introducing me to some things I had never heard of before. So with you talking about annuities, it just kind of made me think back to this conversation I had yesterday, which leads me to this. Again, what I said in the beginning, there are so many people who don't know any of this stuff. You talked about, you feeling like you knew a lot and realized you didn't even really know that much. And there are people
That's
who know
right.
less than you, right? What,
That's right.
what, what is I mean, obviously getting an advisor would be the answer to this question that I'm about to ask. But for those who are like, hey, you know what? I don't know if I'm at the advisor space, or I don't know if it's time for an advisor, but I would at least like to start becoming aware with the terminology and what's out there. What are some things that people can do in terms of getting themselves a little bit more knowledgeable in that area?
Well, the internet is cool. I say you can find everything on there, and you can. But get into books in that financial space. So I like Nick Murray as an author. I like the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. Will have you looking at finances differently. Um, I like the Start Late Finish Rich series. Things of that nature. Um, but yeah, no, if you just get on the internet and start with just basic budgeting, because I'm gonna tell you the real deal. Whatever you pay attention to, you're gonna get better at. And most people's problems, for the most part, is that they have their head in the sand about their finances because they're scared to see exactly what they have going on, or they'll realize like, oh my gosh, I don't have as much as I thought, or I'm in this much debt or whatever, and I don't have a lot of knowledge, so they just don't look. But
Mhm.
what I found for the clients that are very successful, they're more conscientious about their finances. Like, at least they know how much is in their bank account. I mean, something as small as that. Some people, they don't even know what's in there. They don't know where their money's at all. Like, and the money just flies out the window and no tracking, nothing like that. So it's like once you become more conscientious about it, it gets better. And then it's easier to start learning. Now that opens the door for the learning.
Okay.
But when you're not conscientious and you don't care and things of that, it's not that you don't care because you care about money. You do, but you don't care enough to be learned about it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You don't care enough to try to improve it. It's just it is what it is, and cross your fingers. Hopefully, everything will turn out okay. And we go by the phrase "hope is not a strategy." So, but once you become conscientious, it'll be easy. Like it's like I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the reticular activating system, but it's like if you drive home from work one day, and by the time you get home, somebody asks you how many white cars did you pass on the way, you wouldn't be able to tell. However, if somebody said, on the way home from work today, I'll give you $1,000 for every white car you can get the license plate on. 2,
Mhm.
4, 6, 8, 10. Now you got it going on. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So it's the same thing with your money. It's like now resources start popping up. It's like the stuff coming across your feed, and you're like, oh, you pay attention to the stuff that you wouldn't have paid attention to before, and it just gets better.
Yeah.
That
Excellent.
feeds, that really feeds into the mindset that we talk about here. We talk about having the mindset to be able to know what the information is, to have an understanding
Yes,
or an awareness of the
yes,
conversation or the
awareness.
information that's coming your way.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's critical to this whole process, because until you are, it's just like that. It's like, money flying through the air.
That's
It's
right.
just out the window,
Yeah.
because you're unaware of what its purpose is, why. And the thing about it is very interesting, because you and I have a very similar scenario as it relates to, because finances is something that was, I guess it was forced upon me, so to speak, back during the prior to the crisis, the financial crisis of 2008. I was in the mortgages and financing back in the mid 2000, early 2000s and stuff. And it was amazing how easily people were manipulated and parted with their money, because their desire to want something was more than the process of getting it.
100%.
If you understand what I mean there. And so what happened is that from that experience, I was like, I've got to educate people. I've got to help people. And it's really, like you said, it's really not that much information that can make a difference.
Yes.
But the biggest thing is that I've learned has to be with is the desire to want to learn. You know, that desire to want to learn becomes essential to your whole outlook in life. And so it's very important that these conversations that we're having, that people are getting the fact that you've got to want it. You really got to want it. And now, like Bokah's here with the steps between your desires and your goals are the steps that you need, but you've got to want to take that journey with Bokah. And that's what he's here to help us with and to tell us. So, by the way, Bokah, so let me ask you this. And I mean, this is the biggest challenge in this financial thing. And I think this is something that we talked about earlier. How do you help people who have a desire to want to know how to navigate retirement and live a life where they can be in, that they can enjoy on the way to retirement? You know, because finances are not always, they're not inexhaustible. So how do you manage that journey of preparing for retirement and yet enjoying life on the journey?
Okay, that's a great question. I'll start with this. You always have to have one eye on the future and one eye on the present. One eye on the future, one eye on the present. You think about it, people will go to college, they'll do all these things, and that puts them in the position to have the life that they have currently, right? So what you did in the past puts you in the position to make the decision that you can make. It puts the options at your hand, okay? Why would it be any difference with your finances, right? Because right now is the past for your retired self. If you do nothing, your choices will be limited. It's up to you, okay? If you have no money at retirement, your choices are limited. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, so now here's the deal. What is the difference in lifestyle from somebody that makes 100,000 and somebody that makes 90,000?
Not much.
How about 50,000 and 45,000?
Not much.
Everybody can live on 10% less than what they're living on now and still be about the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but when you do that, you set yourself up for the future. Now, if you spend every dollar that you make, that's one eye on the present. That's both eyes on the present.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can relent 10%, which in the grants, it seems like now, if you're making 20,000, you can barely pay your bills. It's a different story. You don't have a lot of extra money, okay? But if you're making 50,000, 80,000, something like this, then you can live on, instead of 80,000, you can live on 72,000 and be about the same. And but at the same time, your future self will not be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to decide. Do you only want to live for your present self? Or do you want more choices for your future self? It's up to you. I can't decide that for you. But if you make that decision, then there's some actions that have to go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it's those choices that understand that everything is relative. Okay. Even in that process of making that 10% savings, it's relative. Okay. So if you're putting away 10% of $50,000, then let's be clear, 10% of $50,000 is not the same as 10% of $100,000.
That's real.
Okay. So it's all relative. So when you put these things in, and that's why it's really important to have an advisor, because you want that 10% of 50,000 to be able to multiply. You want it to gain more value as exponentially as it can for the future. And the fact is that you want to get that started as soon as possible, because guess what? Everybody might not make six figures.
Come on.
Okay. Everybody might not make six figures. But the fact is that time is your best equalizer. Time is your best equalizer. The sooner you get into this game called investments or financial responsibility and be learning to learn these things, the better you are off that future self will be, because you've allowed time to work on your behalf and calculate and multiplying that 10% in a way that only the market can do. Only the market can do, where we can take 10% and turn it into 40%.
Come on now.
That's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. But you've got to give it time. And that's the one element that I think that in the process of mindset renewal or understanding is that we've got to have value in understanding that time is on our side. The younger we are, the better the experience in this is. Now, does that mean that as you're older, you can't do it? No, it just means that the sacrifice we talked about earlier, we talked about that mindset. It's a greater sacrifice the later you get on in life to be able to get that future self to a place that you would like it to be when you get there. So, so these are the things that you're saying, and you're explaining it in a way that your future self is we have to keep your eye on the present and the future at the same time.
That's right.
And that's not difficult, but is there any way that how have you allowed people, and I know you've been able to say, hey, you've got to see this, you've got to want this. Is there anything that you've shared with people that have allowed them to see the value in that statement?
Well, I asked them to think about anybody they know in their 70s and 80s still working. Now, do you want that to be you? Because look, you can either have money coming in actively or you can have it coming in passively. Okay. If an active means you have to work for it.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to ask you if you were going to explain that.
Active means you have to do something for it, physically or even mentally. Do something for it, right? And it takes your time and things of that nature. Okay. Passive means no matter what you do, the money comes in. Okay. Here's the problem with active. Human beings are very fragile. Have you noticed? Absolutely. Something in the air, like COVID, right? It's in the air. Put people down for months. Some people passed away off of it. You know what I mean? And it didn't even touch them physically. You know what I mean? You can get hurt. You can get sick. Now, you get hurt, you get sick. Not only does your income stop, but your medical bills go up, right? If you don't have passive coming in, you're in big trouble. Okay? And look, you got to pay bills. You have to pay for where you live. You have to pay for what you eat. You know what I mean? These things of that nature. So look, if you never have passive, everything will have to be active. So if you don't have passive income, and we're talking about through your investments, let's say, as one of the choices, because for most people, that's the most feasible thing to get passive income from. You know what I mean? Most of us are not going to get Jerry Seinfeld residuals from our TV show. You know what I'm saying? So absolutely. For most people, the passive income is going to come from the money they have saved, right? So if you never have passive income, it has to be active, and it doesn't matter your age. The mortgage company doesn't ask for your age first before they say, send us the money. Mm-hmm. They don't care that you're 75. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, no.
Unfortunately, right? So it's up to you. And I don't work with people that don't have no desire. What am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not going to bend anybody's arm. I'm not in the convincing business. Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm here to help you get what you want. If this is not something that you want, I can't help you. Mm-hmm. Right. Everybody has their own choice to make how they want their life to go.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned earlier, you were talking about, you know, when you were describing what you were describing, you talked about the 20,000, the person making 20,000 who's kind of struggling to pay their bills and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just got me to thinking of a conversation that I was in not too long ago, where there were folks in the conversation that were like, man, all this talk, all this stuff you're talking about, because they were talking about life insurance and different types of life insurance and the premiums and you got to get in this, and you got to put your money in that, and put your money in that. And so there were people in the conversation who were like, man, I'm not even nowhere near that. Like I can't even, I don't have the money to even put there in order for me to see something go. So for that person who is the person who's like, hey, listen, I'm hand to mouth in it right now,
Yeah.
but I want this. What do they need to do?
So the first thing I would say is you have to take that with a grain of salt, because somebody says they're hand to mouth. That doesn't mean they don't make no money. Some
Mhm.
people make some decent money and they
True.
live in a paycheck behind
That's
anyway.
yeah, true.
Okay, so to take that with a grain of salt, some of those people need to lighten up on their lifestyle. Some of those people, okay?
Mm.
However, I'm gonna tell you this, and this might sound whatever it sounds like, okay? If you can barely pay your bills all the time, bunch of debt, this and that or whatever, this is America. You have to make more money. The first thing that we look for, like if somebody's short on their bills and stuff like that, we want to look at the abundance side first before we look at the scarcity side. Okay?
Okay.
Because you can make an unlimited amount of extra money, okay? But you can only reduce your bills so much. You can't have zero bills. You know what I
Right.
mean? You can make an unlimited amount of extra money. And if you want to work, somebody wants to pay you. I'm telling you. So when you talk about desire, how bad do you want it? And I can barely do this. Like I can't save any money, right? Unless you're already working an extra job, right? And you're already, maxed out all the stuff that you can do. You gotta, if you can work in all the hours that you can work, you might have to improve your skills. You
Mhm.
might have to find a skill that pays more than what you're getting paid for your current time. And I don't mean to be mean, but there's no other way around it, my guy. There's unless you want to live paycheck to paycheck for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
You either need to work more hours or figure out how to get paid more per hour that you currently work. For some people, that means, you have to go learn a skill. You don't necessarily have to go back to college, but I know a lot of HVAC guys that make good money, man.
Mhm.
I know a lot of electricians that make good money, man. Getting an apprenticeship program, you get earn while you learn. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It all goes back to desire. So if that's the case, I'm sorry to tell you, you have to make more money, bro.
I, I don't know if that's just something. I mean, here's the other side to that, and I'll say this, and because this is very interesting from the perspective that you presented it is you're absolutely right. You first of all, you've got to realize and understand that you've got to start putting money aside.
You
You've
have
got to
to.
start.
Yes.
You have to start saving some money. Okay. Um, if making more money is not an option, and it could be that it's not an option, then you have to look at cutting things.
Mhm.
Yes,
You have to look at cutting things
that's
because
correct.
there is nothing that you can't do without
Mhm.
That's
in
right.
America. I
That's
mean,
right.
if you're eating and you got a roof over your head, that basically covers it, and clothes on your back, that covers it. Now, if you have a job, you've got to get to your job, so you've got to have a way of getting there. So whatever that transportation is, and be real aware here. If you're in a metropolitan area where there's transportation, that's transportation.
That's
Mhm.
real.
Okay. So then you look at all of the things that now in America, especially in America, that we see as normal things that we use that are very much so luxuries.
Mhm.
They're luxuries. You know, the Netflix, the multiple going out to dinners, all of the different entertainment things that we do for ourselves to entertain us, to amuse us. We have to see that our future is not, is we can't sell our future for our present.
Right.
Yeah. Gotta look at both.
And so that means that we have to sacrifice. And remember the words that I used, I said the two things that people are not going to want to hear as it relates to this conversation is discipline and sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're talking about here, but I'm gonna give you the silver lining. If you do this now is the moment, regardless as to where you are.
That's
If you
right.
start this concept of a mindset of being just willing to sacrifice for your future self, you will begin to see the benefits of it across the board in other areas of your life. Not only in your finances, in your health, in your relationships, because I'm going to tell you, if you begin to cut stuff back, you're going to have to do some talking to some people. You're going to have to communicate with some people to let them know the reason why, especially if you're married and got children. You said, look, hey, there's things that we want to do. And I'll be honest with you, the things that we need to do is we have to collectively or independently establish goals for ourselves. Finances with no goals is just, there's no value. It's just sitting there. You're making money for nothing. You're saving it for nothing. You've got to have some goals.
Mm-hmm.
You need goals. It has to have something to motivate you to want to do this. And that's where it comes to the point of self-improvement. You've got to be self-aware enough about yourself to say, look, I want something. You said something earlier when you were talking about yourself and your experiences that you were going through. I'm not going to be unhappy.
That's real.
In my job.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I'm
real.
not going to work 35 years and be unhappy. And you made a decision at 21 and said, look, I'm going to, if nothing else, I'm going to be happy of what I'm doing. Now, if I can be happy and make some money, I'm going to do that too. But you got to make the decision. And you said it yourself. And that's what we all have to do. We have to make that decision. And it's not always an easy decision, because guess what? When you have that paycheck in your hand right now, and you say this is better than one that's in the bush. No, I'm looking to put a whole lot of paychecks in that bush. And that's what we need to do. So, I hear you. So when you say make more money or be disciplined enough to cut some things.
Yes.
And
so like I said, yeah, we always look at the make more money side first, and then we look at the cutting side after. But
yeah.
Yes.
So that being said, as it relates to what are those three things, those three key elements that you said are key in this thing? If you just do these three things, what was it? What are they?
Number one is live below your means. Okay.
Define that define that.
If you make, be using this 50,000 number. So if you make $50,000 a year, don't have your lifestyle that costs 50,000 a year. So let's say you make 50,000 a year, you take home $3,500 a month. Then don't spend $3,500 a month on expenses. Spend $3,300, $3,400, right? And then, so the next thing is, once you identify how you can live below your means, put that difference away automatically every month out of your account, so you don't even see the money. Because most of the time, like the same mentor, you'd always say, when you get money in your hand, you have a decision to make, right? And most people, once the money is already in their hand, they make the wrong decision. But if they never got the money, then they don't even have a decision to make. It's already saved. You cannot spend it. So first thing is live below your means. Secondly, save automatically early in the month, like as soon as you get your check, if possible, to an account that you're not going to touch. Okay. Usually a savings account is not going to cut it. Most people, if they have a hankering, they see the money there, they take it, so some kind of maybe money market away from you. Somewhere it's harder to get to than to just go to the ATM and get it out. And then lastly, invest in the right places. Because we were talking about the market, and you're talking about the power of the market. And the fact of the matter is, guys, that the market is the best place to make the biggest returns passively. There's a lot of ways to make returns actively. You know what I mean? But if you invest in the overall market, you don't have to pay a lot of attention to it. If you have the time, you have to have at least 10 years to invest in that market. You know, you can't say 1 year later, I'm going to definitely have more. It doesn't go like that. And we'll probably talk about that later on. But save in the broad market passively for long periods of time. So live below your needs, save automatically, and save in the right places.
Let me ask you a question as far as that number one thing you said, save, but live beneath your means.
Yeah.
What are some of the obstacles to living beneath your means?
Pride, vanity. So what happens is, this is an extreme example. However, think about this. Have you ever heard of a lot of people, especially let's say immigrants from South America? A lot of them live in the same house, right? And then what happens is when somebody gets enough to go on their own, they split out. You know, then somebody else will live in the house. You know what I mean? A lot of us, I would say, especially Black, we got too much pride for that. Oh, you live with your mom still, you know. And there's some people that's deadbeat people trying to live off of their mom. But there's some people that are smart and they look, we can, me and moms both can reduce our expenses, right? And we can get to a better place and do something better from that. So a lot of times people, they don't act their wage. They try to live like they see somebody else living, but they ain't in their pocket. You know what I'm saying? You automatically think that you have the right to live like somebody else lives, okay? And so most of the time, it's like they're not humble enough to think to themselves, I'm not there yet. Most of the time, it's vanity. Most of the time. Because you could live on less, but you don't want to look like I don't have money. Well, you don't. You know, you don't have that kind of money anyway. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And the more you act like you do, the worse it's going to be for you.
Yeah. Anything you got anything, Oliver?
No, I mean, this is great. I think, you know, there are folks who need to hear this, who need to be reminded of it. You know, I love the, you know, I love the simplicity of living beneath your means, and definitely see how how many of us are somehow opposed to that for one reason or another. You know, our priorities are off.
Yeah.
Our, you know, we get caught up in this, like you said, I got to look a certain way, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, you got folk who are not concerned about looking a certain way, and they got 100 times more than what you got.
Trying to tell you, man.
You know what I mean? And it ain't about how you look. At the end of the day, it's about what you got.
So let me tell you this story real quick. My next door neighbor, they've been my neighbor for, let's say, like 3 years or something like that. So the neighbor before them, when they were trying to sell the house to this person, he would tell me about how they don't have the down payment money. They're trying to get their finance together. They just don't have the cash, blah, 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 right? Now, I drive an Accord. My wife drives an Altima. Both paid off, years old. I think my Accord is a 12. No, is it a 12? No. One is a 14 and one is like a 15, right? Mm-hmm. Old cars, but they work. They're good. You know what I mean? And I know my net worth, right? So these guys that didn't have any cash for the table, it took so long for them to work out a situation where they could actually close on the house. They roll up in brand new Mercedes Benzes. You know, I know what you got going on, at least in that side of the house. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And my dad, like when I was growing up, he would always get like he worked for a company, had a company car, and by the time you can only drive the company car for so many years before you can't drive it anymore, maintenance issues. But you can buy it off the company for cheap, right? So he would always buy the car off the company for cheap, you know. And I'd be like, Dad, well, why don't we have, because we live in a decent house and all this, like, why don't we have a better car? This, he's like, I already drove all the cars, man. I don't need that crap no more. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I already did all that, you know? And so it's just funny that people feel like they need to look a certain way. It's really funny. It's like, it's the stuff that you don't see most of the time that makes people the happiest, you know?
Mhm.
But, you know, and I understand, look, if you do, that's your thing. Everybody has their favorite thing in life and the thing that makes them happy and all that. If that's your thing, cool. You just got to understand the consequences that go along with that. And
Right.
you have to be okay with that. If that's your deal, cool. Like a lot of people like, well, look at I don't know the newer rappers guys. I stopped listening to the radio a long time ago. But some of these young cats, they got all the grill, they got the big Cubans, and they got all this other kind of stuff. That like, look at this guy, he's got all this stuff going on. Then look at Bill Gates, he's a billionaire, he's got a T-shirt, right? Hey man, let that man live, man. Maybe that's all he wanted for the whole rest of his life. That's all he ever wanted was to look fly. That's cool. That if that's what he wants, but he has to understand. As long as he understands, you don't build long-term wealth wearing your money.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And if he's cool with that and that's what he wants, let him live. That's cool. I always say everybody got their own thing. That's not my thing, never been my thing. Okay. But if that's your thing, that's cool. But you have to understand if you want to have money one day, you
Mhm.
can't spend all your money today. Period. That's just all there is to it.
Right. And
Yeah.
it seems like a no-brainer. Um,
Yeah. But it's hard, man.
mhm.
It's hard, you know, especially I don't know if this is true or not, but if you grew up with nothing and now you got a little something, it's hard not to spend
Mhm.
what you got because you're scared to go back and you know what if this goes away and all this other. I can understand it, bro. You know what I mean? But maybe you need a fresh perspective. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. It's not easy for some people.
Well, I think you just hit the head. I mean, education is what we're about here. It's about educating people, about giving them alternatives. You know, wherever they've started doesn't mean that they have to stay there, nor does it mean they have to go back there if they're not there now. But what you're providing is information. These are resources that we're trying to give our community so we can make those choices. See, the one thing that I don't want someone to get to is 20 years down the road and say, I wish I knew.
Agreed.
That's what this is all about. I don't want our children today to get to where we are today and at 20, 30 years from now and go like, man, I wish they had told me. One of the things that I've gone through and I've experienced, and many times when I speak to younger people, I say collectively, as my generation, I'm a generation X. I said my generation, we were those that were getting everything that our parents could give us at the expense of telling us how they got it.
Mm,
Mhm. Yep.
Without at the expense of telling us how they got it. And the next generation, the generation that's coming up now, they've gotten it with an attention that they deserve it.
that's right.
And we've got to be able to help them understand that nobody deserves it. There's nobody's entitled.
That's right.
Nobody's entitled. And if we don't learn and we don't teach, so in other words, I said we failed this generation, this younger generation, to not have the desire to want, because things have changed. And to be honest with you, this generation, I'm a forever learner. And I need younger people because there's a generation that what we're doing right now wasn't available 20 years ago.
That's for sure.
This generation's norm.
Mhm.
And so what we've got to do is that we've got to do what we're doing and we've got to give it to them on the way in which they can receive it. This is one of the platforms. This is one of the ways they can pick it up, see it at their disposal. We don't have to put them in a classroom. We can give them the desire of our hearts to let them know we don't want them to have to suffer through this life's journey without the information that can make a difference in their lives on the journey,
Mhm.
on this journey called life. And so, yeah, it's maybe difficult, but nothing's worth getting it's got to be a little bit of challenge to it. We've got
Hey,
to
look,
grow in this process.
you didn't ask me for the easy way. You just say, how do I do it? You either want to do it or you don't. I don't know
There,
what to tell you. You know
no,
what I mean?
there is no easy way. And to say that life is fair would be the biggest misconception. Okay? We've got to put the work to the plow. And all we're here to do is to give you, we can't make you do it, but all we can do is give you the information, give you the tools.
Mhm.
Now you got to make the decision.
Yep.
It's up to you to make the decision. So, is there anything you'd like to leave the audience with, Bokah? To what's your last bit of advice that you would like to leave us with today?
Um, I don't know. It's just the same thing I said before, is that you have the potential to have a great life. Everybody, not the person next to you. I'm not just talking to the screen. Like, you sitting in your chair, or you on your bed or on your couch or whatever. You have the potential for a great life if you're willing to do the things that it takes to have a great life. Everybody can do it. It's not reserved for certain people. I know some people that think it's like, oh, that's just for other people. Being rich is just for other people. No, this is America, man. This is why people come to America, right? Because it's the opportunity for everybody to get whatever they want to get if you're willing to do the things it takes to do it.
You know, you just tripped all over one of the bigger issues that we have here in America, and that is that you just said about opportunities, and that right there is a major, I would say, a major stumbling block for most of Americans, is that they don't see the opportunity. They can't see the opportunity. And that's what we're trying to present. That's what all we're trying to do is expand and broaden your horizons to be able to see opportunities. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. So, how can people reach you, Bokah, if there is people that want to know more about financial security and understanding more about their finances? How can they reach you?
Okay, you can go to worjolohfinancial.net, WORJOLOH, worjolohfinancial.net. You can set up a meeting straight from there. You can watch my intro video, show you how I work and things of that nature. There's some educational videos and things like that on there. Or you can just call me directly. It's 301-326-3279. And we're a good fit for each other.
Did you get any of that, Oliver, to put up?
Yeah, I'll put it up.
Well, it has been a great time talking with you. It's been, I think, an eye-opening experience so that we can all understand that your desire is to educate, to give people the options that they need to understand their own finances, and then also to help them navigate this experience called life in their financial space. And we really appreciate you coming on and spending time with us today. Oliver, you have anything else you'd like to say to Bokah?
No, no, I think this is good, man. I you know, I always like meeting folks, especially folks that look like me, that are in the business of helping others to achieve their goals financially, to educate, to empower, to encourage, to enlighten in this space, because it's needed. I mean, if I think about my own personal experience, you know, I'm in that class of people whose parents, you know, did everything that they knew to do and had to do in order for us to have some level of opportunity, but we didn't know how it happened, just like what Juan
Right,
said, right? And so
right.
there's so many things that they were never exposed to, and as a result could not expose us to, you know. And so when you come into spaces now where there's so much more information. There's so many more people who look like us who are out there championing for this kind of financial education, literacy, and ultimately freedom.
Yes.
I take my hat off to you and folks like you. So thank you.
No, and I really appreciate you guys. Juan reached out to me. I was very honored by that. And just your platform and what you guys are doing and the information you're giving and the spirit in which you give it. It's just it's very empowering. It's very empowering.
Well, thank you. That's the whole idea, is that we want people to be able to navigate this thing called life and to reach their full potential in every area of their life. So we want to thank you again for being with us. Don't go away. We're going to send you back to the green room there for a minute, and we're just going to close out the show, and we'll be back to talk with you then. If you will just hang out for a little bit.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I really appreciate him being here and sharing it. And to be honest with you, the things that he was saying are just so very profound in the sense that it's very simple, but it's so very difficult. At the same time, it's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
And listen, I'm gonna say, listen, reach out to this brother. You know, those of you who are watching or watching the replay, and you know that this is an area where you need some assistance, you need some guidance, you need some encouragement, you need some education. Reach out to this guy. Let me tell you what I appreciate, and I should have said this while he was still on camera. I appreciate, as a coach, I appreciate people who don't mix words. And I could just tell
100.
I could just tell, just based on how he spoke, that to sit down with him, he's gonna cut straight through the fluff immediately to, hey, let's get to work. And that's the kind of person you need if you're trying to make some strides. You need somebody, one, who's knowledgeable. And if you listen to any part of this interview, you can already check that box. He's knowledgeable, right? And you need somebody who is going to drive you and who is going to care enough about you to not care whether you feel some kind of way or not.
And that's real. That's real.
So I appreciate that. Listen, I'm just meeting Bokah for the first time. I endorse him just based on that alone, because that's how I am in the space that I live in. Right. So
yeah,
I can appreciate that. And that's somebody you need in your corner. You need somebody like that who will give you the tools, who will push you, who will tell you the truth, and who will encourage you and guide you. So yeah, let me throw the website up there one more time. Go ahead, those of you who are watching now or watching the replay, go ahead and connect with this guy.
Cool. And I'm gonna jump the gun on you right quick, Oliver, because this is gonna be all in connecting. Okay. I want people that are watching, if you haven't before already, go over to our YouTube or to our website, where we have a free ebook for you. A free ebook. Go over to clearjourney.org and get the free ebook. It's Budgeting Made Easy, the guide to taking charge of your money. It's there for you, free. All you have to do is ask for it. Just go over and get it. It's there for you. It's the beginning, the foundation. When you begin to see your money, you can begin to direct your money. Okay? And that's so very important. And I want to thank everybody who's coming in. But before we go, Oliver, as usual, oftentimes, how can people get in touch with you and what you do?
Indeed. If you're a social media person, that is the social media handle right there. Everywhere, Denali LLC. I am an author, a speaker, and a coach in the relationship building and men's enrichment spaces. I want to see you build and maintain the relationship of your dreams, whether it's on the personal side or the professional side. Also, author of the book Overcoming the Man Laws, for the man who wants to be his best despite what he was taught. Just want to see when men win and thrive in every area of their lives. And so, if that is something that you are interested in, if that's something that you are also passionate about, would love to have a conversation with you. So, again, social media handle right there. Or if you are an email person, you can email me at the email that's on your screen.
All righty, all righty. Oliver is one of our strategic partners, so we look forward to supporting him as he helps you navigate your personal relationships. Also, if you want to reach me, I'm a mindset coach, and I actually am the founder of a nonprofit that is Clear Journey. And we would be happy, tickled pink, if you would be a supporter and a partner in our community. Go over to clearjourney.org. We would be more than happy to accept any type of donations to help us support this venture. It's over there, and we would really appreciate that. But by all means, register to our YouTube channel by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Also, the book that I talked about earlier is Love Made Simple, The Guide to Inner Peace, Contentment, and Success. That's all having to do with the right mindset, the attitude that's necessary to navigate all of the things that we talk about, those discipline, sacrifice. It's in this book, how you can begin to establish and see the value that comes from, and it transcends all areas of your life. So if you want to support it, it's on Audible. It's on Amazon. You can help us by picking up a copy of it. That being said, we're done for tonight. We really appreciate Bokah for being with us. But at the same time, as always, we can't change life, but we can help you navigate it a little bit better. So until next time, we'll see you then.
Later.